A weird
I
filter.
can always lift the paper. So guys, I'm assuming every...
Oh.
So I'm assuming everybody has their, can you hear me, Bart?
Yes.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. And I'm assuming everyone else
Okay.
can
Well,
also.
use your reactions if you can't. Put a thumbs down if you can't hear.
Yeah, someone say something. So we will. Okay, we will begin by roughly and lightly sketching the image that I sent out. Hopefully everyone has the image and we can begin. I just want to see the screen here. We can begin by sketching it, rough marks. And some of you have been in my class, but first we mark how big do we want our image to be on a paper. So I roughly, you know, make a circle. If you can see this, I roughly make a circle because I know I want my 3 lemons to appear somewhere here on a page before we watercolor them. It's always good to
Your pencil marks are very light and hard to see.
Pencil marks light. Okay. Okay, but I will go harder, but I want everyone to go lighter on their paper as we, but you can always erase as we go along. So I am roughly on this paper, I am marking where I want my 3 lemons to go. And I hope everyone is also doing this. Very roughly, don't worry guys, the paint will cover whatever lines you don't want seen on there. Can you see my lines, Barb?
Not very well.
Not very well. Okay.
Yeah. I think because your bandwidth is a little. There we go. Yes, now we can see.
Do we
it.
see the line?
Yes, much better.
Okay, so, but you can hear me clearly, correct?
Yes.
So what I am doing is very roughly and lightly, kind of on purpose because I want the watercolor paint. Don't forget watercolor can be translucent at times because I want the watercolor paint to cover these lines. Okay, so for the leaf, I'm just marking it where I want it to be more or less. I know it has a little tail here, then the other leaf comes out on this side, does something like that. Okay, can everyone see it? So the first circle, I just marked more or less how big I wanted my lemons to be on a page, you know, to be composed on there. Then I roughly sketched the 3 lemons, and then I will add a little detail, like the 1 lemon there has a little tail that I will place there that I will paint later in watercolor. And now I start giving my lemons more accurate shapes because I'm going to go around with the yellow or the color. Okay, here they go. It's kind of what they look like. The sketch is important on the paper. Again, roughly guys, don't try to be too accurate, even circles. Don't take me too literal, but rough circles. Rough circles. Okay, and now I start to define. So what I'm doing now, I'm starting to give it a bit more of a definition. I'm giving all of these. So I know where the leaf is, the tail. Sorry, I didn't have lemon leaves, so I actually went out to my tree and collected some random leaves to to compose this drawing a little better, I think. And, you know, it's a painting, so not everything has to be exact. Make it your own. So I've sketched my lemons here, roughly. This is a rough sketch. If you can see now, I make myself mental notes. With these are where I know my darker shadows are going to be in paint. The leaf, I know it's darker, so I just do that. But I'm going to, now, I am going to, now that I gave it a bit of a definition, I'm going to erase all of the lines that I don't want in my drawing. For example, that circle looks like a plate there. We don't have a plate in our drawing, so I will take those lines off, okay? Let me see, this is a good spot here, okay. Lines off. Again, I'm giving myself a little, you see these lines here? They're just random for me to show where the biggest distinction of shadows and light happens. Okay. So you see, I know I made so you can also see what I'm looking at. One thing I want to tell everyone, and I've said this in my classes before, do not be discouraged. There's no such thing as someone gifted or someone able to draw. My hand moves just like your hand. It's all in the seeing and how you see the object, the subject, and practice. Practice meaning drawing a lot, making a lot of mistakes. I just made a mistake here because you see the very tip of this lemon is kind of next, if you look in the drawing, it's right next to the underside of that other lemon, okay? So just things like that that I caught on because I was roughing this sketch. You don't have to be accurate. I said this before, it's a painting. It's not like other people are gonna have the image in front of you, but for your own practice, it's always better to try to mimic the actual stuff. So again, I'm fixing my drawing and I will end it soon because I don't want to keep everyone. This is not a drawing class, it's going to be more of a watercolor class, but drawing is important, and I want to stress that because it will determine in the very end what your image looks like. And now I can live with that. It's probably not the best drawing I've made, but I can live with it. And what I'm going to do now, don't forget, underneath the lemons there, we can see we have the shadows of the lemon. Okay, so mark those. Again, roughly, look what I'm doing. Just a little circle, and then another circle here, and the shadow is longer on the second one. My hand gets tired. So there's that shadow. I know the leaf also has a little shadow somewhere here. That other lemon. Okay. And And I think I have enough here to move on and start throwing some color on this paper, okay? And I hope you are all here with me and at the same, so we can move sort of at the same pace. Okay. My brushes, you probably don't have as many brushes because a lot of you took kits from the lab, but it really doesn't matter. Andrew Wyatt never focused on any of his tools but the subject. He said it doesn't matter what you're painting or drawing with. It could be a piece of stick. As long as you're paying attention to the subject, you will get it. So in watercolor, you would always start from the farthest to the closest subject in. For example, if you look at that painting there, it is not done by me, but it started somewhere in the mountain, somewhere in the top, at the top there, and worked its way down. That's where the darker colors are. Now you want to be careful. You want to be careful with watercolor because it's very easy to lose control of it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is start with what is called a wash. A wash, so I don't have a background. Most of my subjects are, I don't have a background. Most of my subjects are right there in front of me, almost kind of like a bird's eye view, but not really. But my background is this white piece of watercolor paper that I put it on. But there is really no such thing, and every artist will agree to that. There's no such thing as a plain white. Actually, I forgot my mix. This is where I will mix my colors. So I see there's actually grays, there's violet, which is like the lighter purple if you have it, and with a little bit of white. So if you can like, so I'm actually going to do this in front of you on top of my watercolor paper because these are the conditions that we are in nowadays. So violet would be somewhere here, this or this kind of pink. I will grab some white on my watercolor. I also, for the paper image, and I'm really, what I'm going to do, what is called a wash, this is a wash. So you're really kind of washing your paper with it. Okay, and please, I beg you, do not be afraid. You can always lift any color. Even if you go darker, you will always lift it. So it's really not an issue. So just wash your paper, use a bit of white, use a bit of yellow, use a little bit of violet. That's what I'm using here. And don't forget, yellow is the color of our subject. And it's always what the artist would call, it will give it gives the painting a bit of atmosphere. So it's not just like, it's not just sitting in your face like that. Okay, so this is what I'm doing for my paper. There are hints of blues, there are hints of greens, but there are hints of blues, hints of greens where my shadows are a little kind of underneath here. So you see, I'm changing color here, okay? And I'm just throwing it on there. You see, I'm not, don't be scared. Everything can be lifted, and I will show you how to lift it up. If there's any impatient people there that are having trouble, Barb, if you're monitoring, please, like, anyone can show their work if they want, and if they need some feedback on something that they're doing.
Sure. If anybody does want to show, raise your hand and we'll take a look at what you've got if you want to share what you're working on.
So I want to make sure I'm not moving too fast here. Even if I am, it's okay, because as long as you're doing this, it's fine. And I'm working with a small brush on purpose here because I know a lot of you have smaller brushes. But you see, I washed my paper. The colors change. There's blues, there's violets there, but you don't see them. Look, they look yellow. And once I start adding paint onto my lemons.
Luka, as you're doing that wash, we have a question. Are you covering everything or just the background?
Everything. Everything,
okay.
even my
the lemons that are going to be in the foreground.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yes, because that's what you want. You want to work in the color. The colors, like I said, every color is made up of a lot of colors. It's never one. There's violets. I see pinks on this lemon, believe it or not. There are oranges. There are greens. There are blues. All these things, and they get worked in together. So that's okay. Wash the whole page.
Okay, and then we have Vicky here. Vicky, did you want to show your screen?
No, I just wanted to ask a question.
Sure, okay.
I don't have white. And did you say you were using white, violet, and blue, and yellow? Because it all looks white to me from what I'm seeing.
Exactly.
I heard that last question.
That's the point that I'm trying to prove. Yes, it should look white, but it's actually, even that white that we're staring at on this screen is actually not white. It has all of these colors that I'm talking about. So that's
including white.
And this is where this is including white. White is in watercolor is really used to make colors a little lighter. It's never actually used as a white. And I will show that process, and I put it on my Facebook page.
Especially not on white paper.
I will show it.
So what do you recommend, since I have no white? Just make a really light wash of purple and blue and yellow?
Exactly. Actually, like just now, I dipped my brush. I didn't use white. I didn't use white on this. I just used whatever was on my thing. I used a little bit of blue and a little bit of yellow and saturated in water. And a lot of you, I will tell you, your paper is going to start warping. Mine is warping. It's okay. Don't worry about the warping. I also have a method. You will straighten your paper out like a flat press. So don't worry about that part either.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the question.
Okay. So you see, I'm starting to throw in the yellows now for my lemons. I made a mistake, but I'm really not worried about it. I went off the page. You see, I really don't care, because I will work that color in later. And you can always, for the person with the white question, you can always lift the paint. You can always lift it. Do you see? I'm lifting it off of my, I'm lifting it off of my paper now. The yellow mistake I made there, I lifted it. It's back to white now. It's back to where it was, more or less. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope we're all here at the wash now.
So Luka, you might
yes.
want to try going kind of slow because I think it's due to your bandwidth. Your image is kind of blurry and it's hard to see what you're doing. But you did you start into the yellow now? Oh, there we go. Now we can see a little better.
I will always try to bring it closer.
Great.
I will always bring it closer. I'm assuming everyone is comfortable or they're at their washes now. I'm just going to, since we have the wash, just going to let this kind of dry a little bit. Okay. And
yeah.
I said we would start with the farthest object subject and then come in closer or object, whatever.
Is there any way, Luka, to have the phone closer to you where you're working?
The phone closer to me?
Yeah, so that we can see the image closer more often.
Okay. I think there's a way to do that.
If it's possible.
Very good. Thank you, Barb. No, I need you to
because this is the first painting class we've tried to do online. There we go. Oh, that's definitely better if it can stay that way.
Is this better?
Let's see.
Yeah, it can stay this way.
Okay.
Hold on. Better?
I think so. It's definitely better than it was. It's still, yeah.
Is it blurry?
Not as blurry. Why don't you try working? Yeah, why don't you try working with it like that, and we'll yeah, that's definitely better. We can see the pencil marks better and the variation in color.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sometimes
it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate everybody's patience.
Yes, thank you. Nice, and you, Barb. So now I am going to throw the greens for my lemon. And what I am doing, sorry, the yellows. And what am I doing? And you guys, you see there's a lime green on that yellow. It's not just yellow. So a bit of yellow here, and I'm taking a bit of this lime green here. Then on my mixing, so do you see?
Good.
I have. Sorry.
I was saying that's good. That's great. See the colors.
Okay. Okay. So I mixed yellow, a bit of lime green, a bit of white, if you have it, guys, a bit of white, and try to sort of do the same thing, like you did before with the washing on the very first lemon, for example. Okay? Try that on the very first lemon. And since you have more color on your paint brush, I will throw it on the second lemon and I'm going to throw it on a third. But you see, mine, it looks a bit, it's a bit more lime than yellow that I wanted in, but that's okay. That's okay, because I can always, what did we say? We can always lift. And I put this lime green now where I actually want it, which is kind of like this area and this area here. And I'm lifting it and I'm taking it off. You see, this is the edge of that upper, on the upper right, the lemon is, it's lighter at the top because you can see the light is hitting it from the top, which is on this spot, and this spot on the other ones. And you see, I'm throwing the same kind of lime yellowish color onto my leaves because I know my leaves are going to take it, and they're going to need some. There is a bit of yellow, limeish in there. There's blue in those leaves. There's everything. One thing I forgot to mention, and it always helps, have a piece of tissue paper. With a tissue paper or a paper towel, whatever you have, it helps a lot with lifting the color off the page. So when it's here, I usually don't use it, but today I will. You see? Just tissue paper. I mean, paper towel, whatever you may have. Look, I brought my white back. Okay, in this area, I don't know, wherever I may need it later. Okay, so it's okay if it goes off the page. Trust me on that one. Do not try to be accurate at all. Because now I am going to start really bringing out these darks where they are. So, and I will show you where they are. They're usually where the two lemons are meeting, like somewhere here. Somewhere here. And what did I do to get that dark there? The same yellow, the same green that you used, and a little bit of blue. And a little bit of blue. Okay? And now it's starting to go crazy because my page is wet. Okay, because again, I am not worried, guys, because later we're going to talk about these accents that are really going to bring our painting to life. So again, where my darks are, by doing this, and if you see the way my brush strokes are going, they're following the shape of the lemon, and the lemon is kind of spherical, right? So look, I am blending my colors in a sort of spherical way. And here, throwing shadows in. You want your brush strokes in the same direction as the object in front of you. Okay? And now more. I need yellow. I need yellow. Some parts here are yellow. More yellow than others. Like here, they're more yellow than others. Okay. Mistake. I made a mistake. Look, that's okay. I can always lift it up. I don't care. That's what I mean. Do not be afraid. There's no such thing as a mistake in watercolor. And if you remember from the presentation, it's easy. That's why non-artists and architects and engineers work in watercolor, because they could change not only their ideas. Here, there's a little bit of blue. I'm using some blue and some greens, and I'm throwing it onto my leaf because, as I mentioned earlier, that leaf is blue. That leaf has blue in it. That green will come about the yellow and the blue mixed together with a little bit of white and a little bit of ochre if you have it. And ochre is this tan color here, if you can see it. Just a little bit of that. People recommend it used in almost, some artists recommend it used in almost every color. But now I need my lemon to dry a little bit, my paper to dry just a bit. So I'm gonna sort of wave it in the air a little bit so it dries, and I can start adding some more colors, some other colors, some oranges and some accents where we need them. And starts throwing, really throwing the shadows where I need them. So now I'm touching it up with a bit of orange and a bit of yellow, guys. Some white, but you don't have to. You really don't have to. It would have helped if my paper was a bit drier. So where the shadow meets, there's a bit of orange there where the shadow meets the paper. I mean, that other lemon at the very tip there. Again, I'm throwing in the shadows. Put it there. See why the drawing was necessary? Because now some of those lines are starting to disappear. Like I mentioned, some of the drawing lines are starting to disappear because of the paint. The paint is getting darker now. Okay. Here we are, guys. Now, I know I have my yellow underneath. So I am confident to throw some pure green. I just threw some pure green on here, like a lime green, because I know it's wet, and that's the beauty of watercolor. It's going to mix with my color underneath. So I don't actually have to do the mixing on the plate. You see, I'm following the shapes that I drew earlier. Okay. Don't be afraid. Just throw it there. And you jump onto the next subject. The reason I jumped here, because I can't work the lemon any longer. I've exhausted it. It's wet now. I need it to dry a little bit so it can start taking in the other colors, just like the leaves. I knew the leaves were dry. So now I'm going to do the stem with a little bit of darker green and a little bit of blue, like earlier. Remember, we have this stem, we have this stem here, and then we have that guy there, and this guy's here somewhere, but okay. The stem of these, so I'm gonna start to show it, but we really don't want to get hung up on that. Right, today is more important to learn how to mix, how to see color, how to see the subject. What I just did there, that was my first accent of the day. Okay, you see at the very bottom of that left, the very left lemon, and at the tip of it, it's really dark, partially because of its color. It's fully right there, but also because that's where it meets the paper. That's where it meets the base. So of course, the shadows are darker there, and those shadows, what are they? They're a bit of orange. They're a bit of. So now you want to intensify the yellow, right? It's a bit more orange and a lot more, and a little bit of green there where it meets there. So you see, I just throw it like that. It's okay to just do that because you can lift later. Okay, just do this right now. Just sort of like not be afraid, kind of like you're poking it. Just okay, and don't forget the lemon is also a bit rough in texture. It's not smooth. It's not like an egg. And this is what this does. This actually brings out that lemony texture. It brings out that roughness. Okay. So I'm waiting for my leaves to dry. And with time, you'll see. Oops, sorry. And with time, you will see, you will develop your own style in watercolor. Maybe you want to show. There's some people that like to show this, the sketch lines. Sometimes they draw with pen on purpose to actually show the sketch lines. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my leaves because I have a lot of unfinished business here. And what I did at the leaf here, I have blue, green. I have no yellow, just blue, bit of dark blue, and a green there. And that's actually the color of the stem. Just dark blue and green. And you will see, you see, I'm hitting it with my brush in some spots. And some spots are going to be purely blue, like right here, for example, because I know that's where my darkest shadow is. And if you see, it kind of has these holes, like you're looking at the moon actually on the leaf right there. So I just do that in there. And after everything dries, because now it's not dry, you see what I just did? You give it definition. And look, these are accents. We will get into that. We're not there. I'm not there yet. Some of you may be. But these are what make the drawing lines disappear. You see there it disappeared. And here I'm going to go with some yellow once this yellow dries, because right now I'm going to keep lifting it. If I keep painting now, I will keep lifting it off the page. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want that. I don't want that blue. That there. Somewhere here. My lemon is actually here. I don't care about those thick lines because I will deal with them. I dealt with one just now. Okay. Almost dipped my brush into my drinking water.
We've all done that. I'm sure that the minerals are good for us.
Van Gogh used to drink watercolor water, guys. Just saying, he was an amazing artist. Maybe that's what I should start doing to get a little better. So I'm just darkening. Again, you have to be a bit patient. I'm at a point where my colors now are going all over the place. And this is where everybody gets frustrated. And that's why I'm doing that on purpose, actually, to not lose any frustration, to not be afraid because there's no such thing. So again, wherever you want that white, guys, wet your brush, wet that area. Like me, I want some white right there. Wet that area, okay? Lift it off like that. Let it blend in with the other colors. Let it go that way. Go wherever you don't want it. Wherever, you see? I just lifted some white there. I need it in this whole area. So you see? Look, come on, out of here. Get it out of here. You see? I got it out of there. I want some white there. I know this is darker. I don't know what this is doing so light. But this is a lot darker, guys, this area. Here. It actually has like a back there, the lemon. Kind of a hunches there like that. Okay. Okay. So that same paint, look, that same paint, I'm using it around my edges. I'm using it for the same paint that I used on the lemon, because I know a little light in here. I'm using it around the painting, because there's nothing interesting about my white background right now. And also, this is what really gives the painting atmosphere. Like that white, if you look at the lemon somewhere here, that white is really not white. It has those yellows, those oranges, the burnt oranges, all of that stuff. And once it dries, and always don't stay on top of your painting. Actually move it back like 6 feet at least. I'm gonna sit my painting there. Take a break from it and look at it from far, because that's where you're going to see what it really needs. And up close to me, it looked fine, but now I see that the lemon at the bottom is very distorted and it could use a lot of work. So, and the leaf can use a lot of work because my wash is all over the place. The water is all over the place because of the fibers, and got a lot of work on it. So yeah, move it 6 feet away from you. Stare at it from afar, and that's where you're really going to start to see your problems. Or it may look a lot better than actually you see your problems up close. It actually looks a lot better when from far.
Okay. We can't see your painting at this point, Luka.
Oh, sorry, guys. Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Can you now?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay. So by sitting it far, I saw the lemon needed some definition here. And I also know the shadows are darker. I know that the shadows are darker here. Okay, so again, still trying to define this leaf. Remember those spots that I put on were blue. I did use a little bit of green, but now mixed in the color.
Okay, hang on a second, Luka. I think we lost your visual, and I just had to let you back into the meeting. There we go. Okay.
We're good?
We're good now. I can see it.
Okay.
Does everybody see?
Yes.
What about?
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Thank you.
Any questions so far?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So now that my colors are drying a bit more, I'm spreading them around a bit more. I'm spreading them a bit.
Luka. How did he end up? Oh,
Dries, it leaves this.
there we go.
Watercolor has this quality that when it dries, it always leaves these beautiful marks. I love that. I will always like that. It looks so much better. Laurie Ollins, a famous landscape architect, he loves what he paints a lot in watercolor, and he hates all of them when he does them, but he says he looks at his paintings a week later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that one. That one looks a little bit.
Do people not mute when they're?
Somebody's unmuted. Let me see. Everybody should be muted.
Somebody's, yeah. Okay. So now that leaf, what am I going to use for that? That leaf kind of has a leaf at the bottom leaf, kind of has a white line that comes all the way to the peak of its
We have a question when you get a second, Luka, and we lost your video again.
Oh.
So the question is, how did you get the very? Did you mean very dark shadows, Marilee?
I'm sorry. How did I?
Yes. How did you
Can
get
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We can see now again too. Can you tell us how
Okay.
you got those shadows? The very.
These shadows here.
I think so.
Or shadows in general. Okay, yeah, pretty much by applying the same paint darker, adding some blues, because on the green here, I see blues. This green is not green. There's blue, there's yellow. I touch it with green here and there when I need it, but mainly blue. That's how I got those. So here, because I'm not done with the shadows, or here, for example. I just went that I shouldn't have. You see, I'm going to put a few drops of blues there because I know I need that to be darker. I also need this to be darker here. So I'm touching it with some blue. The blue and the yellow mixed together turns green, and my lemons have green in them. So this is why I'm using blue very freely here, and I'm not scared. Okay, but there's also a bit of orange here. So I just dipped my brush in orange, and I'm throwing orange where I see where it meets those blues, like there. But it doesn't go beyond. Go beyond the little cut stem there, the shadow, because that's when where the light hits. And towards the center here, we have more shadow. If you see, it's darker. Those are wherever your lemon is darker. That's where shadows. And the light is coming from the top right. If you could look, so there is light on our lemons. There is light. I'm going to tell you right now. Here. Okay. Here. And I go with my, and here. And I'm going with my tissue paper because I know it's going to lift it. And I don't care if it lifts it because I want it to be white there. And here, you see, go over again, guys. Don't worry. Go over again and always lift again. Don't be afraid. Wet the paper again. You will lift more this time around. See, I wet it. Boom. I am lifting with the paper towel, lift with the brush. There's so many things.
Okay, my question is, okay, brush work to get the gray shadow under the lemons. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. How to get the gray shadow. Okay, yeah.
The gray shadows, yes.
Yes. Pick the gray color. No, I'm just kidding. Blue. I see blue. There's blue, there's violet, and there is a bit of, here, I'll work on it with you right now. So to get that gray, I am lucky because I have white there, which is not even white anymore because it's been distorted, okay? But take some black, take some blue, mix it with this white, or if you don't have white, just blue, gray, whatever, or even green, whatever darker color you have, and then play with it on your mixing plate, wherever you're mixing it. You see there? You see that gray? That's gray there. And if I want it more gray, I pick a bit more black. I can pick a bit more black. Use a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, or if you don't have white, the closest thing you have to white, maybe a little bit of yellow. You see? Now that's my gray, but that's a worked gray. That is not just plain gray of your watercolor set, because then it doesn't really come out the way you want it to. It won't look like the actual painting. So now I'm using your grays that you recommended where I need them, which is under this guy, under there. You see, keep going. You just keep going. And now I'm working it off the page. Then go back to the same mixing spot, wherever you mixed. And throw those grays wherever you see them. And I'm telling you, they get darker. They get darker in between the top lemon and the lemon in the middle. The gray is darker there. So, of course, I'm going to apply darker. You see, I'm mixing it darker here. And I'm throwing it, I'm working sideways, guys. So please bear with me. And I throw it there, you know? And like even the shadow sometimes has darker spots in it. It's never one color, the whole thing. So I like there, it's darker there because it's meeting two objects, three objects, the leaf, all these things. It's darker there. And look, I'm just throwing it very carelessly but carefully. I'm just throwing it where it should be. And it may appear dark at first. Don't be afraid. It dries a lot lighter. So, and now I'm using it somewhere in the lemon because I know it needs it. I know the blue needs it here. I know it needs it there because there's shadow there also. Okay. Don't be scared where it looks polka dotty like that. Don't worry. There's this thing called lifting. There's this thing called washing, you see? Like I will need to wash it off of here because It's not that dark there. So look, I just took it off and now it's going to dry light again. You guys are going to call it my white paper again. Okay. Use tissue paper. So, okay, now I'm coming in doing a very nice wash because I need those colors to blend a little nicer than they are. And now, really, this is what many artists would call probably a base color. Painting it's a long process. I'm still at the basis here. So let it dry a bit. Look at it from afar. Don't notice all of my mistakes. But you see the pencil marks that I made, they're disappearing. And they will. Trust me, they will. With time, they will. The more you work the painting, the more you will keep adding, the more you will keep adding, the more the more paint you will add to it, it will disappear.
Can you move your painting up a little closer to the, yeah, there we go. We're not seeing it as well.
Sorry. So now, I think my stem here is dry. Okay. The stem also has shadow underneath of it. But the stem stands out. It's darker than the rest, than the leaves for sure. So I used blue on the leaves. So I used blue and some green on the leaves. And I'm kind of going to use the same thing for the stem. Actually, it needs more blue than green. Help yourself with a bit of yellow. And you see, for the stem, I'm not, look carefully. These are accents. You don't paint the whole thing. Look, it's just like a dot or two there. And where you think it's darker, where it meets this other, the other stem, there. And there, you see I touch it in 2 or 3 spots. That's it. You don't need to touch it everywhere. 2 or 3 spots, the eye makes up the rest of the shape. Don't worry. And if you look at it from far, I don't know if I can show you from afar. If you look at it from afar, you will see that stem there. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, but I said there was a white line that went across from the very peak, the point of the leaf to the stem. And really what I did for that is I went with the back of my brush and I drew a line from the point when the leaf is wet. When the leaf is wet, I drew a line from the stem all the way to the very point. And it actually gave me this very sharp points, which that leaf does have. But of course, it's a bit more round here, so I can shape it. I'm not afraid to change the shape because that's the way it is. And I might wet that spot again. But pretty much this technique you can use drawing anything else, whether it's a building, whether it's a tree, anything. Key is to not be afraid. I wish we were all in class so I could look at some drawings. Those that have taken my class know that I will mark it up. And I always touch. Is anyone confident enough to show their drawing? I am, or painting.
If you want to, just raise your hand.
It doesn't matter. It's okay.
Okay, we've got Meg. Did you want to show your?
Because I simply need my painting to dry.
Meg, go ahead. You want to show?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Here we go. I'm gonna ask you to start your video, so you should get a dialogue. Hey, there we go. Oh yeah.
Right. That's beautiful. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you.
Give me a second. Very nice. Okay. Let me see again.
I think, Meg, you have to talk a little bit in order for it to automatically.
I see it. It looks great.
Spotlight.
Yeah,
Here we go.
exactly.
Now, this is how we do it. I found the right. Nice.
Yeah, that's exactly where we are supposed to be right now. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
Since
Mia?
the shadow, I see accents, I see wash,
And Emma
I see
next.
light, and that is definitely the direction to go.
Great. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to switch to another
you.
one.
Please do.
Thanks. Okay. And I'm going to ask Mia. And I'm going to spotlight that. And
Cool.
let's unmute Mia. Here we go. Oh, look. Here we go. Take it slow. Good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I think.
Beautiful. Nice job. Nice, Tom. Good, Tom.
Yay. Mine look good.
That's great. Okay, we'll move on to Emma. Yep. Let's see here. Or
Yes.
Hi.
Oh my God, Emma.
That is beautiful.
I think they look a lot like pears, but it's
Amazing. I
okay.
wish I was on a bigger screen here. That looks really, really good.
Oh,
I
it's
love your
dry.
subtle shadows. I love the subtle shadows. They're a lot more subtler than mine.
Great.
And
All right. Okay, we'll move on to Emily.
it's so beautiful.
Okay, and we're gonna stop your video here, Emma.
Whoa.
Okay.
Emily, that's beautiful.
Let's see, is that on spotlight? Wait a minute.
We have some watercolor artists in the house.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okay. Oh, why is it not? I gotta unmute you. There we go. Now you got it.
Now
Okay.
you're making me want to touch
wanna
up
show it
my
again?
drawing.
There you go. Oh, nice. Yeah, hold it up a little. Good.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Lovely,
Beautiful.
lovely. Okay.
There's some
Anyone
watercolor
else?
artists.
Yeah, there certainly are. Are there any questions in the meantime? I'll stop the video here. Wait a minute. Where are we at? Meg. Stop the video.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Beautiful.
I'm trying to, there we go. Okay.
Let me see.
Did you want to show Angela?
Yes, I want to see Angela's. Angela will show. She always shows her drawings.
Is that okay? My goodness, she's muted. Okay, I'm trying to unmute you, Angela. I do.
I didn't do any of the shadows yet. I'm behind.
Oh, that's okay.
Let me see. Let me see it. Can I see it? I didn't see it.
I'm still trying to bring it up. Spotlight. There we go. There we are.
Right on. Good
that's
job, Angela. Oh, look at those
didn't get to-
accents.
Nice.
The accents, the subtle shadows from last class. Very good.
Oh, very good.
Very, very good. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm impressed by the drawings. I am impressed by the watercolor technique that a lot of you are bringing forward.
Thank you.
I am very impressed.
Great. Anyone else? I'll stop your video, Angela.
Beautiful
okay.
drawings.
Vijay.
I guess
Vijayta?
I would show my acrylic painting. I don't know if you can hear me.
And this is who?
That's fine.
Speaking?
Oh, how do we?
It's still water-based, so it doesn't matter. That's acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I used watercolor, but I'm heavy-handed.
Okay, wait.
Oh,
so
that's, I'm
talking-
not,
Oh, Vicky. Okay,
That doesn't look heavy. That
yeah. I
doesn't
don't
look
see
heavy at all.
Vicky's yet. We're looking at Vijayta, and then yeah, there we go. Look at those shadows.
Beautiful. And the accents, and I love it that you see where the lemons meet those accents, where it's a lot darker and the shadow lines are a lot darker.
Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Okay, now we'll move on to Vicky. And yes, to start video. And let's see. Did you get a request to start video, Vicky?
oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. All right.
Very nice.
Now
Wow.
we can make it
Whoa, I love the
spotlight.
orange.
Ooh, yeah.
And the fruits. Oh, wow. Great.
Lovely. Lovely,
Mm-hmm.
lovely. Yes.
I think it's a little heavy-handed, but that's the way I am.
It's not heavy-handed. That's where I am going next. That's actually where I am going next. That's great. That's exactly where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Well, you're
great.
being kind. I think
Thank
if
you.
I put any more color on here, I'll have a lot of pilling on my paper.
Don't worry, it can always be lifted.
Okay.
All right. Okay, you ready to get back to it, Luka? We have about 20 minutes.
20 minutes left of class?
Yeah, it's 8:37.
Exactly. So now I'm going to start.
Nope. So sorry. Oh, I accidentally muted you. Darn. I'm so sorry, Luka. I muted you for a second.
That's okay. I should shut up.
No.
soon. So I have 20 minutes to shut up. I mean, 20 minutes
we're
to
done.
talk. Mm-hmm.
I'll mute myself now.
Okay. So now, pull up the image in front of me again. I mean, now what is left to do is defining, it's really refining and defining the painting a bit more, the shapes.
Luka, can you move the image up? Yeah, there we go. A little more, because we're missing the lower and the lower right. That looks good.
Now, if my lemons look distorted, which they do, I see it. Fine. They look distorted because we're sort of on an angle here, but that's okay, as long as you see where my brush goes. I hope you took some screenshots, Barb, of the...
We're recording, so I may be able to grab some shots later.
Okay, good. Okay, so now I'm going to start defining the painting. We're going to lose the pencil marks where we can. We really are going to stand out with simply watercolor now, and no more drawing behind. Okay. Just defining it. These very thick blues here need to get lost somewhere. So now I'm really, because my painting got to dry a little bit, now I'm really adding that actual yellow of the lemon. I have it on my, I have some on my plate still, that's why I'm not dipping there. Where I have yellow, this I have yellow. Yellow. Do you see my brush? It's going and following the shape of the actual lemon. Now I need my colors. So for the leaf, guys, that lime green, yellow, and a bit of blue. Okay, don't forget the blue. Any blue, whatever blue you have, will work, because when you work it on a plate, look, it really looks like, if you're looking there, that's really that color of the top leaf. And one thing I forget, and I shall always say, wherever, pick a spot there, wherever the darkest dark is in that drawing, that's where, right next to it will be the lightest light, meaning if we're looking here, where Let me get some paint on my brush. Where I have that burnt orange, if we're looking here, okay, I don't care, I'm going roughly. Oh, if we're looking there, here, right there in between, because that's where I find the darkest dark on this painting is, believe it or not, guys, it's right here. And if you look right there where the crack is, where the white is showing, that is also your whitest white. Because right next to the darkest dark always are the lightest lights. So if you look at the image that I sent, if you're looking here, don't worry, mine is sloppy right now. If you're looking at the lemon there, look right above it. It's super white, where the white paper is, it's super white. And you look right below it, it's also super white. And that is an accent, okay? That's where I will go and work. And then when you look at these paintings from far, you will see, so I have white. For those who don't have white, don't worry, because, and I can use pure white. Sometimes it's okay to use pure white because my paper is worked underneath this. My paper is worked up, meaning I have used a lot of other paints underneath it. So it'll show, don't worry, it won't be just as white. And if you're afraid of that white, which is what we want, mix it, put a bit of that tan ochre in it. So now here, I know there's some white in there on my lemon. You see, these are accents, guys. So these, I'm touching it at these spots where my lights are. Because when we go back to our drawing and look at it from afar, it'll look nice. And I didn't switch brushes because I was sympathizing with everyone that collected tools from the lab. And I wanted to work just like everybody else. But now you see, I am adding that white line to the leaf after I marked it where it was more or less. And now, remember I said this peak was like too far out? And I say, don't worry. This is what I mean, because look, you can always define it later. Okay, now that's gone. And now, a little bit of patience, of course. I know I made my stem. I know my stem is not this thick. So this is where I come in with the white again. And I make it, look, I'm making it the size it actually is. And I know there's some white there. There, I just throw it there. Okay, where else? Did I touch up there? And now, where my pencil marks are showing, I don't like that. I don't want them there. Because some people just don't want to see the pencil marks. Just want to see the stem. So there I go. There I go. Cover it. Okay, my leaf. My leaf is darker than the lemons. So therefore, the light next to the leaf is lighter than it is at the lemons. So where else did I make? Accents. Even though you don't see this light there, it's there, trust me. Even sometimes the eye cannot catch it, but that's where the artist comes in to see the things that next to your darks, there's always the lightest light. Always, it's a rule. It's very dark here by this leaf, so I'm going to touch it with some white there. And I'm being rough because we're not going for perfection here. We're going for concept. We're trying to understand it. And do you see now, if you look at my drawing, doesn't make sense from close, but then you make that distinction from the dark object to the light. And I'm going to go darken this leaf up some more. Because it needs to be. It's a bit darker. It's a bit darker. Wait. Do you see how I'm throwing them there? I don't care, because I know if I look at this by far, it'll convince me. I don't look at drawings really close. I don't like to look at drawings really close. You see the lemon has this little curvatures here. Just follow that. It's okay. Where's my stem here? Now that stem, do you see at its root? At its very root is dark. At its very root, that stem is blue. Blue, a little bit of gray, if you can put it in it, a bit of green if you want. And let's see. I come up with that. That's okay. That works for me. Maybe it needs a bit of yellow. I think it needs a bit of yellow to give it that more bluish greenish color that I want. So I dipped it in some yellow. And now at the very root, just touch it in like 2 spots. It's okay. That's okay. It looks like, it doesn't look like much there, but when you look at it from afar, you will see. It's too thick now, but remember, I go define it later. When it dries, patience. And that's how you work a painting and work it and work it and work it till you exhaust it. Until you really, really exhaust it. But that's okay, because the more color it has, the more rich it is, the more closer to the actual thing you're getting. Because like I said, no color is ever pure. Now, the abstract artists will argue that with you. They will say, well, color should be used at its purest form. But we're not painting abstract right now. So, okay, and you see I used ochre there. Look, I made it thinner. Look, it's gone. It's almost disappearing. Where'd it go? Because I didn't need it to go that far. And I need this blues to disappear here also, which I will make. And use more ochre instead. Ochre is again that tan color, which a lot of you probably know. I gotta make some more of these. This definition here is too thick, but like I said, never afraid. Always lift, 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 lift. Okay. And now I lift it. I'll go with a bit of white. I'll go with a bit of
Luka,
color.
it's nearly 9 o'clock. It's 8:57. So
Well,
just want to give you a quick.
I'm comfortable enough to drop it, stop it here.
Yeah, if you want to give a quick summary and. Right.
Well, of the painting or in general?
Oh, well, however you want. I'm not trying to tell you what to say. I just, wanted to let you know that, it's almost time. And I don't know if folks have, questions or any kind of, how you want to wind this up.
Sure, I'd love to close it with a question or two, not too many, because it's late. It's 9 p.m. and I'm sure people have things to do. But I could take one or two questions, and after those questions, I just want to say that this is crazy times that we're living in, and thank you again, Barb, for everything that you do and giving us the opportunity to do these online. And I don't know, we can sense I feel like I sense everybody's vulnerability, and it's important that what we take from a time like this is that we understand to be kinder to one another, I guess. I don't know, that's it.
Thanks, Luka. That's great.
Mm.
Any questions from folks? Do you want to, does anyone want to show their work again, or, you know, any final thoughts? Feel free to unmute yourselves if you want and just jump in.
Thank you, Luka. That was wonderful. Really
thank
enjoyed
you.
it. And Barb, right? Barb,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
You're
to
very
both
welcome.
of you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Be well and
Thank you,
stay
everyone.
safe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luka. Thank you, Barb. It was terrific. It was a lot of fun.
Luke, I wouldn't mind showing you mine just for your input and suggestions if you're.
Yeah.
We'll put yours on then, Vicky.
Lemon.
Oh, lovely. I don't have my camera on. Ah, lovely.
I don't
That's
know,
nice.
I threw some paint into the top. I put paint everywhere. You can't really see it, but.
Lemon.
Well, thank you.
I'm an acrylic painter by trade, so sorry if this is a bit heavy-handed.
Well, that's my problem too. That looks really nice. Whoever has Emma, that looks
Yeah.
really nice. That looks like a watercolor painting.
Thanks, we'll try.
Gonna let this dry and put a book on top of it. A book or two, I guess.
Oh, nice, Jen.
Lemon. Oh, that's Jillian. Lemon.
Aw.
That's funny. That's a riot. That's really
That's adorable.
Well, I'll show mine if you want. This is the first.
This one's mine.
Oh, good.
Mango.
I don't know. I think your daughter should be a cartoonist. Clever.
Yes.
It's
I
really
love that.
clever.
Lemon.
Really cute.
Well, if you want, I can show mine. It's the first painting I've ever done. I don't know anything about artwork. It was a little embarrassing. Oh,
Yeah, because there's all this space. Stop. Give me a shot. You immature little piece of garbage.
oh.
Oh,
Go ahead.
oh my God, I've been talking this whole time and you guys couldn't hear me, could you?
That is so nice. That's good
This
for
is
your
the
first
first
painting
painting I've done in
ever.
my life.
Meryl, this is your first painting?
Ever.
Wow.
Any kind.
Who are you sending that to?
Make sure you give credit to your teacher, okay? No, just
I will. Thank you. Thank you.
That is beautiful. No, honestly, I have not painted that way my first time painting. Great.
I felt like it got worse as I went along.
Yeah.
Emma, I didn't see yours. Let me see. Mia.
Oh, hold on.
Come on.
Oh, we can't because the host stopped.
No, wait. Oh,
Wow.
we'll start video. There we go.
Mia, that's beautiful.
There you go, Luka.
Emma, look at you guys. You should be up here teaching that class.
Oh,
No.
No.
Teaching this class, not me. That is beautiful.
Mhm.
Do you guys see
Well, thank
me?
you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Hi,
I will.
Lyle.
I'll be in touch.
Thank
See
you,
you
everyone.
on Instagram.
Thank you, Luke.
Yeah.
Bye, Mia. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye. See you. Take care.
Was it good? Was the
It
class
was.
okay?
It was. No, it was very good. I liked it a lot.
Where are my coworkers? No pressure.
You'll have to yell at them for not being there.
Where did Jeff go? No, they're there.
I'm here, but I don't know if I want to show my look.
Where's Jeff? Jeff. Hi, Joan.
Hello.
Oh. Oh my God.
I'll be with you in a minute.
That. That is beautiful. That is great. Joan, that's really, really good. You're bringing that to work, and I'm going to actually, oh, I forget to tell everyone how to straighten their drawings. So I'm sure you know this. If you put like a board or something on top of it with some books. No, first spray the back of the
something
drawing.
heavy.
Can you guys hear me? To
At
flatten
this
the
point,
drawing-
there's only two people left in the room, Luka. But that's okay.
Oh, okay. That should have been my closing remark. Actually, how to straighten the drawing, Joan. You can just spray it with the water bottle. Spray it with the spray bottle from the back,
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Not the paint, in the back of the painting. Make sure you don't get it on. Make sure you don't get it on the front of it, and place like a heavy board or something with some books on it, and leave it overnight. It will come out. It will come out pressed hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I love it. I mean it.
Well, Luka, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
I'm glad. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you, Barb. And thank you for all your help in the beginning. I had a rough start.
Oh, we all do in the beginning. Don't worry about it. I'm glad you were able to get back in.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks for coming.
See you tomorrow at work. Well, talk to you tomorrow. Okay, who's still on?
Yes, make sure to say thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Oh, you guys don't see me?
The mouse isn't working. Where is it? Where'd it go?
Who's Jen? Jen, any questions, Jen?
Moderating. No.
Okay, have a good night.